Hello and welcome to another edition or episode of Talk of the Crown. In fact, this is actually episode, I have to check, 32 now. So hello and welcome to all of your live weekly chat about the British royal family. Of course, this chat is entirely led by you guys. I have a few notes just in case, but usually you pretty much ask me all the questions and notes that I've got there anyway, including lots of other really good questions. So I'm really looking forward to this weekly chat because again it's been another incredibly busy, voluptuous royal week. So without any further ado, I'm going to go to the chat room so I can say hello to all of you, which is also one of my favorite times of the week because I get to read a whole list of names. So let's go and see who's in tonight. We have Alicia, we have Massless, Keonti Kent, Moral Compass, Rodney Jackson, D Ray, Susan G, Ava42, Barbara Neweg, Sue Miller, Nicole C, Vicky P, Joyce, Angelique, Beverly, Leslie Lane Fenton. I think I've already said Susan G. Christine is here, Flossenrog, Grace, Kathy G, Susan G. I've probably repeated some. Astrid's here. Go Getter, Arnold's here. Pamela, Ablaze, Live, Love and Laugh, Countess Bavaria, Sweet Serenity, Mrs. VSN, Mary, Robin, Stacey, Super Craig Jack, Chelsea Stevens, Christine Suckup, Runaway Sky, Julia's here, Michelle Woods is here. Hello to you. I know you saw me yesterday. Joanne's Robbins, Gerald's here, Laurie, Soliarda222, Brooke Princess, Kimberly Orr, Deborah Fraser, Betty Lee, Janice Hunter, Stephanie Roof. To be honest, hello to everybody because there's so many names here today. Betsy, Reverend, Dee Dee. I'm going to leave it there because otherwise we will run out of time for some royal chat. So I'm going to go up and read some comments. Let's have a little look. Mrs. VSN says, I'm on the East Coast. Friends who had family members lost home, so appreciated the Queen's words. Aha, of course. And I think that's a really good place to start because as we all know, there have been the horrific images coming back on the news, probably wherever you are in the world. I know in the UK, it's been on our news ever since it's happened, but those devastating fires in California, I think it's been said that they are the worst ones in history. That so much life has been lost. The animals have been displaced and killed. People have lost homes. It is absolutely terrible. And the Queen did send her own personal message of condolence to the people of America and also, of course, President Trump. And please go and watch that video that I put out today because I basically just read the entire message. It's only a shortish message, but nevertheless, I think the Queen's words are always quite powerful and mean a lot to so many people. So do go and check that out. And also, you can use the comment section of that video to leave your own personal messages of condolence for people for the families of people that have lost lives or people that have lost their homes. It is really terrible. So do go and check that out. I thought that the Queen's words were, of course, very profound. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. Let's have a look. Oh, yes, and please don't forget to give this video a big old thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Okay, Malcolm says, and a good question, are there any pictures from Prince Charles's party at Buckingham Palace? No, it was a private party hosted, of course, by the Queen. We do know what the Queen said in her speech, which I'm going to make a video on that probably tomorrow, which I'll just read pretty much in the same way I read about the Queen's message of condolence. I'll read the whole speech. But in terms of photographs, no, it was a private event. I said last week in the live chat that maybe we would have some official released photographs. They didn't happen. So I did tell people not to get their hopes up. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. It was always supposed to be private. We did have one pre-party photograph of Charles and Camilla, which I included in a video, which looked lovely. We did see the arrivals and departures. However, those photographs were paparazzi photographs. They were taken through car window screens. Some of them weren't very good quality. Some were better quality than others. However, if you've seen those photographs on YouTube, they shouldn't be there because basically they are copyrighted photos. So I wasn't going to show them. And anyway, they were all of the royals sat down in the cars. You could only see the heads, the tops of dresses. a few dangly, spangly earrings, which did look very, very nice, I have to say. But you certainly couldn't get a whole snapshot. They weren't like official photographs. If any official photographs do emerge, of course, I will show them. But yeah, any other channel that's shown them, I very much doubt they've had permission from the photographers or photographic agencies. So they are, of course, breaking UK copyright laws and YouTube's own terms and conditions. So that's why you haven't seen that type of photo on my channel, and you won't either. What brooch am I wearing, says Gerald? This is the Buckingham Palace star brooch, and it's a replica of the one that the Queen uses. Wears rather, and this is a badge from the Duke of York for when he launched his Silver Idea Award, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I also have a mug and some goodies to open, which I'll be doing that later. It's actually from the Duke of York, from the palace launch, not Buckingham Palace, St James's Palace, which is actually the seat of the monarchy, and I'll be discussing all about that and why and how I've managed to get it a little bit later. And it is, of course, thanks to a good friend. Hello to everyone who's watching live. Karen says, kind of sad that the Queen was more kind and gracious than our president. Controversial. But I wouldn't expect any less of Her Majesty. Well, I did read a comment on that video saying, what was it? It was something about, if it wasn't for Meghan, because of course Meghan is from California, if it wasn't for Meghan, the Queen wouldn't have said anything. And I didn't reply to it, but that is totally not true. The Queen sends messages of condolence whenever there has been an incredibly publicised or even non-publicised natural disaster or tragedy or shooting or anything of that kind of nature. The Queen always sends some words of condolence. So I don't agree that it's just because Meghan's from California at all. Johnny says, great bow tie and snow pin. Thanks for the information. I trust now. Thank you very much for watching. Christine says, Meghan and Harry are moving out of Kensington Palace again. This fake news is getting old. Yes, I've seen another load of fake news regurgitated. Fake news pamphlet. And yes, I see the fake news. I see it very clearly. And this old news is regurgitated again, and they've combined it with that Harry and William are splitting their household. It's totally not true. Yes, Meghan and Harry live in a 2-bedroom bijou cottage called Nottingham Cottage, and it is rather on the small side. It's not terribly large. I mean, I would still say it's enough for 2 adults and a small child. But yes, the Gloucesters aren't moving out of their apartment. I said that was fake news when that reared its ugly head. They aren't going to move out. It's not because the Duchess has put her foot down and said, no, we're not moving. That's fake news too. I know that's been bandied around a bit too. It's always been, as I've said, Harry and Meghan do need a base in London. I very much doubt they would leave the safety, seclusion and protection of Kensington Palace to buy their own place in London. I just can't see that happening at all. And eventually a bigger apartment or some type of accommodation within the palace will become available, either through people naturally moving out, moving on, death, or this new orangery extension where they are moving the offices from Diana's old apartments under the basement of the orangery once it's built. So that will, of course, free up Diana's old apartments for Harry and Meghan if they wish to take them in the future. This may take 3 to 4 years, but I'm sure they can wait that long with 1 or maybe even 2 small children. That is fine. They do currently are renting what's called a cowshed, although I'm sure it's not as rustic as an actual cowshed. It's probably a renovated old building, and they are renting it in the Cotswolds for the time being, and that is their country escape. We don't know yet which country property the Queen has gifted Harry and Meghan. Lots have been bandied around, but none have been confirmed, so there's no point in even speculating which one it is, because none of the ones that have been suggested have yet to be proven to be true. I'm sure one of them is, but we don't know which one that is, so we'll have to wait and see. on that one. But for now, they're quite happy splitting their time between Nottingham Cottage at Kensington Palace and their little bolt hole for weekends or holidays in the Cotswolds. So there we have it. There is no truth to any of those lies or rumours that are flying around. Live, Love and Laugh says the Queen is a class act. I would agree indeed. Pam G says such a beautiful message from the Queen and Prince Philip. I am in the San Francisco East Bay area. Lots of smoke. Oh no, it must still be so horrible to seeing all the smoke, and especially if you're up in the hills and you can actually see, you know, if you could have seen all the flames, it must have been awful. Dawn says, Harry hosting his first dinner at home, family man, father and husband. He must be very excited. Which home dinner is this? I've not heard of one. If you mean, oh yes, let's address this as well. Okay, so not necessarily fake news, but rather sensationalist wording. So I'm going to give it a black fan flap. And that is all of this business about Harry and Meghan having secret engagements. It's not secret. It's just low key. It's just not a big, massive fanfare. And I have got a few kind of notes on it slightly. Let's just see if we can find them. Yes, so the secret engagements. One of them was a Royal Foundation dinner. It wasn't secret. It was just very, very low key. And Harry had attended an event beforehand for the African Parks dinner, and then they had an African Parks reception after. So it was the African Parks and the Royal Foundation dinner and Prince Harry's own private African Parks meeting himself. So those have been described as secret meetings, and of course they weren't. They were just low-key events. Lots of work that the monarchy do isn't immensely publicized. A lot of it is very low-key, on the ground stuff, very grassroots, and not all of it is publicized. So I wasn't very happy with a lot of the wording, the sensationalist wording from some of these fake news channels. Mrs. VSN says, I tell the last several weeks have been horrible in the fake news against the Duchess of Sussex. It is getting worse. I would agree with you. I think there's been so much fake news channels popping up all over YouTube and fake news websites and blogs and all this kind of thing. And even from the mainstream media itself, with online articles and that kind of thing, there have been lots of sensationalism and lots of fake news, or even regurgitating of incredibly old stories and kind of repackaging it as something that's true. In fact, I even saw the thumbnail of one channel's video trying to trick people into click the video, trying to make out that they had photos from inside Charles's birthday bash, and they had an old photograph of the Queen reading a speech at a state dinner next to the pre-dinner picture of Charles and Camilla, but they just showed Charles, and then they pretended to like have evidence of or proof of what was actually happening inside, and of course they didn't. It was just complete clickbait. So beware even the thumbnails, because they're now trying to trick you with the thumbnails. The first Mrs. R says, I think you're talking about the Californian fires again. About 1,000 people are missing. Most of them are probably okay, but it's very scary. Some folks were caught in their cars. It was horrible as they were trying to escape. Here words were very sweet and consoling, of course, from the Queen. It was devastating, and to see the images come back was, words just can't. Vinnie Blair says, don't think Michelle and Meghan knew each other. I followed everything actress Meghan did. She visited the White House once for a function, but they didn't meet. Are we talking Michelle Obama? I think so, because obviously Michelle Obama was at the White House at the time when Meghan was still taking part in her acting career. To be honest, we don't know whether they know each other on a personal level. I mean, a lot of stuff that happened before Harry wouldn't have been terribly scrutinized. So yeah, we don't know entirely about that. Brenda says, where's the Diana crown? I love it. Thank you for your well wishes to our precious neighbors in California. How sweet and precious. My Diana tiara, or rather, it's actually Queen Mary's Lover's Knot tiara, but Diana was the one that kind of made it really famous. And I do have a replica. I wore it in some of my pop-up live chats, or one of them this week. But I felt like no tiara tonight, but hopefully the brooch is enough. Sue Miller says 70,000 subscribers. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Yes, it did tick over 70,000 this week. I was amazed, as I always am when I reach a milestone. But I just want to say a really big thank you to all of you who have subscribed. And if you haven't, please do, because I really want to get to the magic 100,000 subscriber number. And there are a few reasons for that. A few practical reasons, as well as kind of triumph reasons. And the first practical reason is because when you get to 100,000 subscribers, you can open your channel up. YouTube's come up with this new thing called memberships. And once I hit 100,000, if I hit 100,000, I can enable this fan groups thing. I don't know entirely how it works, but I know that if you would like to be a member, you can do whatever it takes to do it. I don't know entirely because I don't have access to it yet. But then you have access to special things for the channel, special comment features and all kinds of things. So it does look really good. So I really want to get there so that I can enable that on the channel, which hopefully will help with the engagement of the channel. And also if people want to support the channel, they can do that. I think it's kind of like a way of sidestepping Patreon. It's YouTube's way of competing with Patreon, if you know what Patreon is. So I'm really looking forward to getting that if I'm lucky enough to get there. But also you can apply for a plaque. And I really want this plaque. It's a silver plaque, and every channel's entitled to one once they reach 100,000 subscribers. So what I really want to do is a plaque unveiling like the Queen, or in the style of Prince Edward, where he goes, ta-da! So I really want to do a plaque unveiling. That's my main motive for 100,000. I want the plaque, and I want to do a plaque unveiling for everyone. So yes, if you haven't subscribed, please do, because it will help. It will help me reach my goal. HRH Princess Beatrice says, really quick, look at my special Queen brooch. Your Queen brooch you have. Princess Beatrice blog does have really good information about Princess Beatrice. I take a look myself, and she's also going to send me some things to show you that you can purchase from her, including some signatures, some royal signatures on postcards. So do take a look. And she also has a YouTube channel too, so do go and check that out. It is really good. Dee Dee Ridley says, we thank the Queen for her kind words. And Christine says, Prince Charles's party looked like a blast. Camilla looked stunning. Her gown, she did look amazing. I loved the gown and her jewels, and she did look remarkably impeccable, I have to say. Tim says, what is in the Queen's hands in that photo on your left side? Gloves. I had to look there myself. Gloves. A pair of white gloves. And yes, Janice, everyone hit the like button as well. Vinnie Blair says, well, they have to leave Knotcott soon, but where to? Well, not too soon. Like I say, it is still big enough for a couple and a baby, and maybe even another small child. So, you know, there's no rush. I think the media is trying to rush them out, and there's no need to. I mean, as soon as this Orangery thing is done, they will have the option of having Diana's apartments, which I'm convinced that is what they will do. Vinny continues, the media shouldn't make a mess of things just to get clicks. I agree entirely. And yes, we will know in time. It will all play out. This is one of those things that they don't announce, which is why everyone's speculating, and lots of people are speculating wrong, in my opinion. Janice says, Harry and Barack and Michelle are friends. They will probably connect on December the 3rd. Oh, yes, I forgot. Harry, of course, is friends with the Obamas. He did, of course, the famous mic drop. And the Queen was like, oh, really? So yes, even if Meghan didn't know Michelle before, and I'm not saying she didn't, but I'm sure she will know them now through Harry. I'd totally forgotten about Harry's relationship with the Obamas. Hello to Charlotte. And yes, if you were talking about the Spencer tiara, that did indeed go back to Charles Spencer, Diana's brother, because it's the Spencer family tiara. Yvette says, Prince Charles's family photo with Prince Louis is so handsome. Looks like Prince Philip to me. Okay, that was one of my points. There was also 2 new photos released before Prince Charles's birthday to mark, obviously, his birthday. And they were really remarkable photographs. I did do a special video on those where I did my own review of them. But in a nutshell, I loved them. I loved the fact that they were very natural, and it seemed like they had been posed in certain positions, but they must have taken some sort of straight photographs with just smiling at the camera. But the ones that were picked and chosen, selected to be released, were the ones that were a lot more natural looking. We had Meghan leaning in, obviously, lots of smiles on their faces. There must have been jokes. George on Charles's lap looked very natural. I just loved the photographs. And to me, there wasn't, even though it was Charles's birthday photo, it was also a representation of his dynasty, his wife, his children, and his grandchildren. And it was very nice to see that in photographic form. And I think I said in the video as well, there didn't seem to be one particular focal point. Like, your eye could literally dance around the photograph and find something interesting in every one of the royals that was there. We had George on the lap bouncing. We had little Charlotte, who's adorable. We had Camilla smiling. We had Meghan leaning in. We had Prince Louis. Oh, yes, Prince Louis. People were asking me for weeks and weeks, when's the next time we're going to see Prince Louis? And I totally forgot about Prince Charles's birthday, or rather overlooked it. And I was saying, well, maybe we'll see him the next time on the Christmas card photo. And then probably maybe in the pram being taken to church on Christmas Day, maybe if we're lucky. But I totally forgot about the Prince Charles's birthday, and that it was a big birthday, and that we could possibly have a photograph released to mark the occasion with Prince Louis in it. So hurrah! I'm so glad they did, because it was a fabulous photograph, and it was the clearest photograph that we have seen of Prince Louis to date. And I think someone said in the comment that maybe he looks like Prince Philip. I can't tell with baby. I haven't got the eye, I don't think, to look at babies and see who they look like. But I'm sure we will see for definite in time. But of course, children's looks change constantly, and who they resemble, I think, changes too. There was also, as part of Charles's 70th birthday, he released a photograph of himself, or rather a collection of photographs, and he looks so much, well, rather Prince Harry looks so much like him. It's the one where he has a beard when he was doing his stint in the Navy, and my goodness, he looks so much like Harry, especially when he's doing a particular look, that kind of inquisitive look. I think he definitely has the inquisitive look from his father. Check out the photo. It is rather striking, I have to say. RKD says, greetings from Granada. What is my mailing address? It's in the description of this video. Vinny says, what's happening December the 3rd? I was responding to the person who asked if Michelle had a hand in Harry and Meghan meeting. I don't know what is happening December the 3rd. I haven't heard anything. I'm going to skip a few. By the way, if some questions have already been asked, I am of course going to skip it, because if you have missed anything, or if you've joined late, you can of course go back to the start of this video and watch on Catch Up once I've finished. So if you've missed anything, don't worry. If I haven't read your question as well, don't worry. Live, Love and Laugh says, Harry and Meghan have attended 2 engagements. We have spoken about that, so I'm not going to kind of go on with that. But like I said earlier, lots of engagements do go slightly under the radar, and they aren't necessarily publicised. We only really get to see the ones that people do talk about. Candice Bunting says, well said. The Queen does always send condolences and has done for years and years. Exactly. It's nothing to do with the fact that Meghan's from California. Hello to Patricia from Mexico, but you're now in Colorado. James Medford says, the Queen back in 1983 on royal tour in California saw a lot of the state. Her Majesty is always sincere. She is indeed. Okay, let's have a little scroll up. Cindy says, you look like a beetle using the opera glasses. Well, it's to look for the fake news. Nothing escapes me. That's the point. Kathy G says, is it true the Duchess of Sussex is getting additional security because of death threats? There will be no additional security. The security that the royals receive anyway on a regular basis is enough. There will not be additional security, because the security they have already with the police protection officers is perfectly adequate for any amount of situation. Karen says, what does the R stand for after the Queen's condolences? Yes, it's always signed Elizabeth R. Now, if you are a regnant queen, the R stands for Regina, which I believe is it's a Latin word, isn't it? And I think it's a Latin word and it means queen. So it's Elizabeth Queen, but Elizabeth Regina, Elizabeth R. Now, if you were a king, you still sign your first name R. So let's just say Charles. So let's just say he's Charles III. He may not be Charles III, but Charles R. It would be Charles R. And R, if you're male, stands for Rex. So Charles King. Rex is king. So that's what the R stands for after a king or a queen's signature. Thank you, Sue, for the congratulations on the subscribers. Margaret says, I saw a video of Harry making a speech about getting an AIDS test. Have you seen it? Yes, I have. And I haven't posted that on my channel because the official royal family channel, not any fake ones, the actual royal family channel put that on their channel. So I didn't want to double upload or do anything like that, because I think that if they put it on their channel, I think that's fair game for them to have on their channel. So I may mention it in a video of maybe a random video of what the royals have done, but it is a very powerful video. And of course, he's trying to relieve some of the stigma around it. And it's work that he's been doing for a number of years now. We saw a couple of years ago now when he had the test along with Rihanna. So it's nothing new for him, but he is kind of making the point in the video that in the UK, numbers of diagnoses has gone down, which could mean that people aren't getting tested. So he's urging people to get tested because, of course, as we know, the stigma around HIV is not the same as what it was, because now there's so many powerful drugs and combination therapy, which means that people who have HIV can live with it for a normal lifespan. And as long as their levels of it are kept to a certain point, which is classed as undetectable, it means basically they can't pass it on to anybody in the usual ways that it would be passed on. So if you're undetectable, that the meds are working, it's like living a normal life these days. So it's not the same as it was. And of course, Prince Harry is trying to relieve all of that stigma, and I think he's doing a fantastic job in doing it. So do go to the official royal family channel if you want to see that video. It is also, of course, on their Twitter too, and I hope I explained that correctly. Let's have a look. Oh, good morning to Sonia. Marilyn says, please let these people live their lives without scrutiny. I think when it comes to their workload and what they do for work, I think like anybody, they want that message to get out. So in terms of, putting out their message of their work, I think they definitely want their work to be spread around. When it comes to malicious rumors, I mean, to be honest, these things that people are scrutinizing are just not even true. It's just complete made up nonsense a lot of the time, or a little bit of fact mixed in with a whole load of made up nonsense. And that's the thing that I think people really need to just stop doing. Fianua says, thanks for the clarification about Harry and Meghan moving. Yeah, they aren't. They are not moving. And the households are definitely not splitting up. There will be no separation between William and Harry's households. It doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever to do that, unless, of course, one of them did move away, but they are not. Christine says, I remember when the Queen visited the Reagan Ranch. She and Ronnie went riding together. They did indeed. Oh, one thing about the Queen I was going to ask you. So something has surfaced. I don't know how long it's been surfaced, but I was made aware of a video of a prank phone call, or rather a supposed prank phone call. I do think it's true, but I'll explain. So apparently back in 1995, there was a prank phone call made from a Canadian radio station or journalist, something Canadian and in the media, to Buckingham Palace. And this person allegedly got through to the Queen and they recorded a phone call. And I've listened to the phone call and it was a prank phone call. It sounds so much like the Queen that I believe it's a true phone call. The only bit in it that I'm not terribly happy with is a bit when she asks the hoax phone call was pretending to be the president at the time of Canada. So it was like he was pretending to be like the Justin Trudeau, but obviously from 1995. I forget the name. I was just trying to think of the name of the person, and I just can't. I can't think of it. So he pretended to go through, got put through, spoke to the Queen, and the bit that I was not happy with is when the Queen kind of asked him to hold, and she spoke to her aide, and it just kind of, you could hear her talking to the aide, and I'm thinking, well, maybe there would have been a hold button or something. But the phone call sounds real, but I've never even heard of it. And I can remember way back to 1995. I was, 12 at the time, and I can remember lots of current news. And I don't remember anything at the time in the UK. Maybe it was hushed. I don't know, because it may have been embarrassing. But I believe it to be true. So what I want to ask you guys is, have you ever heard of it? And when I say heard of it, I don't mean in recent times. I mean, can you remember anything about this at the time in 1995? Because I want to work out if it was true or not. But it sounds true. So yes, you can probably find the video on YouTube if you look. Let me know. Let's have a little look up. Oh, Sue Miller says, what are the metal pieces on your left? Metal pieces. These? My goggles? They're my fake news glasses. Oh, and this is a cup, which I'm going to open very, very soon. Life is for living says, you are very handsomely dressed. Thank you so much. Hello to Jamie, who is our resident moderator. So you've got to behave now, he's in. Mary says, how are the Duke of Gloucester and Prince Michael of Kent related to each other, and how are they related to the Queen? They're cousins. They are the Queen's cousins. Robin says, Elliot, you are my primary source, so I don't look at the fake news videos on YouTube. They become beyond hideous. Yeah, they have indeed. I would agree. Jason says, not that close to see flames in San Francisco Bay Area, but we did get the smoke. And yes, some of the titles of other videos are very clickbaity as well. Let's have a look. Vinnie Blair says, YouTube administrators are very irresponsible and very disrespectful to the royal family. Well, unfortunately, unless the videos break their terms and conditions, which a lot of them do because they use copyrighted photographs. They use photographs that they steal from newspaper sources or that kind of thing. So they do kind of break YouTube's rules, but unless they do something like really kind of heinous, you know, unless they're reported lots, YouTube isn't going to know about it. Veronique says, 70,000 persons following me. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Arnold Sanders says, saw a show about an American fishing in London. I thought the Thames was polluted. I think it does have fish, but I wouldn't particularly want to fish there. There are lots of bugs and diseases. People have swam in it and got E. coli and all kinds of things. So I wouldn't fancy eating anything that has been taken up from the Thames, I have to say. Hello to Sunshine. Maggie says, you are the only one I trust to get the truth. And thank you for trusting me with that. And yes, Olivia, I think there have been some death threats. People were telling me about the Kensington Palace Instagram last week. I haven't had a chance to go and check it out, but apparently there's lots of really bad things on there too. Lots of social media these days is incredibly toxic. I try not to go on that many social media things myself because there is so much toxicity around. I don't really like it, I have to say. Jules says, loving your outfit tonight. Do you have any thoughts on what gender Meghan and Harry's baby will be? What is your gut feeling? Well, Harry said that in Australia that he'd like a girl. Now, do I think they know? Meghan strikes me as the sort of person that would probably want a surprise. She seems quite traditional in that sense. So I don't think they've been made aware of what the gender is. I think they don't know. I think Harry really was just hoping for a girl. And I've got a feeling they're going to get what they want, or rather Harry is. I think it's going to be a girl. That's my gut feeling. But of course, we don't know. And lots of people are speculating twins. But again, we don't know anything about that. Oh, Sue Miller thought they were chess pieces. They're my goggles. My opera glasses. Anne-Marie Peters says, how am I? I'm fine, thank you. Is it true that Harry and Meghan are leaving Kensington? No, they are not leaving Kensington Palace at all. I've spoken about that earlier, so I'm not going to go into it again. But no, in a nutshell, they are not. Okay, let's have a little look up. Sheila says, so tired of comparisons to Princess Diana and Meghan, and also Meghan to other royals like Meghan and Eugenie or Meghan and Catherine. Ugh, I can't stand those sorts of things. Really, I can't. Denise says, the brooch is perfect, and congratulations on 70,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Vinny Blair says, if you followed Meghan on the TIG, you practically knew who she knew and who she did not. She never met Michelle Obama. Well, I didn't get a chance to read the TIG, and that's one thing I regret doing because it was up, of course, until she took it down. And it was up for, a good 6 months or something before she took it down after meeting Harry. And I regret not going and having a really good look around it. And by the way, her blog, The TIG, that was shut down, and the YouTube channel, The TIG, are not the same. They are not run by, they have no affiliation or association with Meghan. Just thought I'd point that out because there's also lots of fake news stories there too. I'm just clicking a button. So beware of some things which might try and trick you with names, with royal sounding names. Let's have a look. Oh, Laurie Clark says, history question. Who was the first royal to receive a university degree? Was it Prince Charles? I'm thinking it was Prince Charles, I think it was Prince Charles. But can someone do a little bit of Googling? Somebody Wikipedia. I think it was Charles. I'm going to plumb for Charles. Or was it even William? No, I think it was Charles. It was either Charles or William. Let's have a look. Yvette says, Mrs. Obama taught why she hugged her Majesty. Sore feet. Oh, yeah, I loved that moment when she hugged the Queen. It was very precious. Dee Dee says, loved William's passion during his anti-fake news and cyberbullying speech. That was something else I was going to speak about. He wants a better world for his children, and he's had a chance to see cyberbullying firsthand with Meghan's family. Indeed, he has, and it was a very impassioned speech. Again, the full speech was on the royal family website, YouTube channel, which is the reason why I didn't publish the entire speech in its entirety. I did publish just a little section of it. So if you want to go and see the whole speech, if you haven't already, do go and check out the Royal Family channel, the official Royal Family channel, but also check out my video because I tell you lots of other information that's behind the scenes and lots of information about why he's doing the cyberbullying. So if you want the info, go to my video. If you want the full speech, go to the Royal Family one. But yes, it was very impassioned, very powerful. And, you know, I think he will have raised a few eyebrows in the cyber community, but hopefully that message will get out there and things will get actions. And I think it's really good to have those conversations. So well done to William. Vetty Martin says, good evening. Is it true that Harry and Meghan will be in attendance at the Royal Variety Performance Show on Sunday? I made a whole video about it. Do go and check. And do you know when it will be televised? Okay, so I made a whole video about it, so go and check that one out. But to answer the second part of your question, no, it's going to be broadcast on ITV. They've said sometime in December, but we don't know what date it will be broadcast. But it's recorded weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks earlier. So it'll be recorded early, so we may see the arrivals and departures before we get, obviously, to see the actual show and performance. So it's a great honour. Harry has attended himself previously, but of course it's Meghan's first time, and it's their first time jointly as a married couple. And it's always a really fantastic show, lots of amazing acts. It really is a variety performance. You know, one act is not the same as the other, they're completely opposite. So it looks to be, from the lineup, and I talk about the lineup in my video about it. So if you want to know who's there, do go and check my video. But it looks like a fantastic lineup, and I think Harry and Meghan will enjoy the show tremendously. Okay, I'm going to skip a few questions. Jamie says, Charles was the first to attend college, Cambridge in 1967. I thought so. I thought it was Charles. I should always go with my gut. Oh, we have a live chat, super chat donation. Let's see who it's from. H London has donated $25, my goodness, to the channel. Thank you so much. Who says, congratulations on your 70,000 subscribers. So awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to anyone who supports, even just as much as literally watching the videos. Thank you to everybody, and thank you so much, H London, for your super chat donation. I will put it towards something definitely for the channel, maybe something to review. Elaine says, pound the like button. Do give me a like. How many is watching? 401. 401 people. Thank you so much for watching. First Mrs. R says, what do I think of all the comments about Charles including a picture of Diana in the photo montage? I don't like those. Okay, some people like those kind of fake photos where they superimpose people that are no longer with us into existing photos of today. I'm very uneasy about those sorts of photos. I don't like them. I find them slightly eerie, I think is the word I'm going to choose. And more importantly, because I so much like the truth, it's just not true. You know, we have to kind of accept that Diana isn't here as much as we'd like her to be. And, you know, I remember back to William and Catherine's wedding photo, and there was a convenient little space at the side where if Diana had still been with us, is probably where she would have stood. Or if they'd have bunched up a little bit, she could have got in the photograph. And I just feel really uneasy about superimposing people that are no longer with us into current photographs. A lot of people were kind of saying, oh, you know, what's Camilla doing with Diana's granddaughter? You can't change the past. Diana isn't with us anymore, sadly. I would have loved her to have been in those photographs celebrating that time, because of course she is part of Charles's dynasty. So it would have been appropriate if she'd still been here for her to be in that photograph. But she's not here, and I think it's pointless to go on and on and on about it. And even the Queen in Charles's birthday speech, which I'm going to do a video on, she commented on the support and words to that effect of Camilla being in support of Charles. So there's a lot of water gone under the bridge since then, and I don't think it's good to dig up the past. Angelique says, Michelle Obama will be in the UK in December. I don't know if that's true or not. And maybe Meghan will meet Michelle. like I said, like I remembered, Harry is friends with the Obamas, so I can't see why not. Arnold Sanders says, why doesn't Kensington Palace do a better job of blocking the hate speech on their social media? I don't know. It could be, I really don't know. Maybe they don't have the people monitoring the comments. I really don't know. Could be an issue of freedom of speech as well. I mean, to be honest, I can't really comment on what those comments are on the Instagram because I haven't read them. Maybe I really should go and take a look, because if they're as bad as what people are saying, then maybe they should do something. But I kind of need to look at them first before I comment. Reverend Darlene says, I love your site. You always tell the truth. I try my best. I can depend on what you say. Well, thank you so much. It's the biggest accolade that anyone can give me, actually. So thank you so much. Vicky P liked William's anti-bullying speech. Green Queen B1 says, do you think Harry and Meghan will raise their children like normal? Because I don't think they'll be able to pull that off like Princess Anne's kids. For one thing, Harry is Princess Diana's child. Okay, there has been lots of talk about how Meghan and Harry plan to raise their child. Lots of insiders coming out with things. I don't believe all that tut. And you know that if I haven't published anything about it, then there's nothing for definite on it. As we know from the title thing, their children won't be HRHs, princes and princesses immediately, unless the Queen changes things. Then when Charles is king, they will be HRH and prince and princess. Let me just take a drink. So we know that. But in terms of raising them normal, they will never be normal children with the level of security and the media attention around their parents, living in palaces. You can never be raised normal. I think the best that they could hope for is to do what Diana did and follow Diana's mold and Charles's mold as well. Because I think Charles did take on the mantle that Diana started. And also I think he agreed with Diana's parenting methods in that sense. And I think Diana has a lot to be thanked for in the royal family for changing that kind of parenting style. And now, of course, it's common, and I think we'll see more from William and Catherine as well, that as the children get older, they will probably take them to theme parks. They will have private, low-key visits to homeless shelters, and all the things that Diana did with Harry and William when they were young. I think they will want to pick that up and carry on with their own children. So if you want to look at it in that sense, yes, I think they will be in touch with what normality is. I think they will know, they will be raised knowing that they are in a position in their life that isn't typical, that most children and most people do not live the way that they do, that most lots of people have hardships that they don't have. And that's how William and Harry grew up. And that's why we have such well-rounded young men, rather young adults now. Okay, middle-aged adults. I still want to think of myself as young, that's why I'm saying that. But that's why they're so well-rounded and adjusted, because they were exposed to things that typically their class wouldn't have been exposed to previously in previous generations. So we do have a lot to thank Diana for, and I think that Harry and Meghan and William and Catherine will continue that. William and Catherine probably are anyway, but we may not even know that. I mean, I think George is probably still a little bit young to maybe going into homeless shelters to fully understand, but as he gets older, I'm sure they will take him to all kinds of things, as will Harry and Meghan for their child or children. Gerald says, when will Meghan start her time off for the baby? Well, we know it's due April. So I answered this last week. I think I kind of guessed maybe towards the end of February, beginning of March, maybe. I mean, of course, it depends how the pregnancy goes as well. If she needs maternity rest earlier, then if that's what she needs, that's what she'll get. Oh, Verna is from Jamaica. Oh, Christine says Prince Louis looks like a doll baby. He did look very well behaved, I have to say. Jules says, do you think if they have a girl, Meghan and Harry will include Diana in her name like Charlotte? It's possible. I still don't think we'll see it as a first name. No disrespect to Diana, but I still think it's quite raw for William and Harry to have that name as a first name yet. Of course, Harry may have a different stance to William, but I think it could still be quite raw to have that as a first name. But it would be a lovely tribute, and I'm sure all royal fans would love to see it as a first name. I can understand why. First Mrs. R says, I liked the composition in that they had the royal succession in a swooping line. They did. They were lovely photographs, and like I said, even though they were kind of staged, the outcome was very, very natural. Let me just click a button. Hang on. Okay, let's ignore what's on my screen. Hang on. Okay, it's not going anywhere, so we'll just leave it. Mary says, back to my question about the Duke of Gloucester and Prince Michael of Kent. Who are their fathers? I understand the Queen Mother came from a large family. Are any of those cousins involved? No, it's from the male side. It's not from the mother's side. Because they wouldn't have had princely status and titles and HRHs if they'd come down Queen Elizabeth's, the Queen Mother's line. Denise thinks Prince Louis looks like his older brother at that age. Like I say, children keep on changing appearance. Oh, and yes, Vinnie Blair is quite right. The Duke's father was George V, of course. Robert says, do you think the Queen is prepping everybody for the handover of the crown to Charles? Again, there was rumours abound that the Queen is going to opt for a regency when she's 95. Again, we don't know that that's true. But I think people are at the point where if she did want to call for a regency, of course, she'd have to go through Parliament to add old age to the list of reasons why you can invoke a regency. I've spoken about that previously, so I won't go into it again. But she'd have to get it through Parliament if that was her wish, which I'm sure Parliament wouldn't have a problem with. But I think most people are kind of at the stage with the Queen when they don't want her to give up the throne. I don't think anybody wants the Queen to give up the throne. But I still think we respect the work that she's done, and we kind of are at the stage where we want her to have a bit of a retirement. We want her to have a bit of fun. We want her to indulge in her horses and all the things that she loves to do, like the Duke of Edinburgh is now. And I'm sure a little bit of us thinking, oh, I'd like to be able to do what I want to do a little bit. But of course, you know, she's so much, she's so into her duty and responsibilities, and she's done it for so long that it's just normal for her to carry on. But I think the public are more than happy for her to hand over to Charles as regent, just so that she can get some rest. She's worked tirelessly. She has been a workhorse, tireless workhorse of duty to our nation, and also many countries around the world. Commonwealth countries, non-Commonwealth countries, she's still, you know, touched with her kind words, for example, like in California, and she's done it for her entire reign. So I think people are quite happy if it did happen at 95 and it was passed by Parliament. I think people are quite happy for Charles to pick up that mantle just so the Queen can have a rest. Hashtag give the Queen a rest. But you know, in no uncertain terms, I don't think anybody wants her to give up the throne. I think that would be a huge red line for everybody. And of course, the Queen would never do that anyway. Abdication is not an option like in other European monarchies where they think that's perfectly fine. And it is fine if that's what they want. But in the UK, that's not going to fly, and the Queen will not be abdicating. But I think people are kind of looking forward to seeing a little bit what Charles will do, especially with the recent documentary that's gone out. I think people understand a lot more now. It's been clarified a little bit more about what type of monarch he will be, and that he does understand that there is a separation between how he can act as Prince of Wales and how he can act as monarch. And I think now that that's been cleared up, I think people are a lot more accepting and open and, in a way, quite excited to see what he will do with that role. And within, of course, the constitutional parameters, as he said. But, of course, we do wish the Queen a very long and happy, sustained reign. And there's no reason why she shouldn't. But I also want her to have a little bit of a happy retirement. She deserves it. Let me know what you think. And yes, Sheila, it was so sad about the Queen's last corgi. Don't worry, there will be up and coming Meghan and Harry events soon. Pam G says, did you happen to hear whether or not Prince Philip was able to attend the birthday party? He did. He did attend. And I think he may have left slightly early, but there was a photograph of him leaving, I do believe. Like one of those car window shots. D-Ray says, I think the Queen plans to serve her entire life. I don't think Charles will be her regent. I mean, it depends. It depends when she. It happened to Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. He got to an age where he just decided that he needed to have a retirement, and I think maybe the Queen will reach that point. But it is, of course, possible that she may just carry on for as long as her natural. Vianua says Prince Harry looks like his father and grandpa. I think he does too. But he does have a lot of Diana's facial expressions as well, I think. Veronique loves my opera glasses, thank you. I am skipping a few questions, so sorry if I've missed anything. Sonia says, I absolutely love the photos released for Charles's 70th. It certainly puts pay to a lot of the fake news, such as Camilla not being allowed to see the Cambridges. Exactly. And also that the Queen gave tribute to Camilla as well proves that the Queen has not kicked her out of the castle or the palace, that everyone gets on. I know that's really boring, and I know that doesn't get clicks, but it's true. They get on. They do get on. There is no animosity or infighting or any of that business. That's just made up by people to get clicks and views. Okay, Kimberly says, so where would Harry and Meghan raise their children if they are to move? Again, I don't think they are moving. I think they will get a long-term country property from the Queen at some point, and I think their future is at Kensington Palace. But they're going to have to wait until something comes up that's larger. Oh, and there's also been talk, I forgot, about Eugenie not wanting to live next to Harry and Meghan at the palace. That's all a complete load of nonsense too. Fake news. I spy you, fake news. I spy you. Have I got the wrong? I got the wrong line. I spy you, fake news. So yes, that's fake too. I mean, there was photographs. I know where this came from. There was photographs of Eugenie coming out of an apartment block of properties that were for sale. Now, because she's not a working royal, she can invest in property, and we know that her new husband, Jack Brooksbank, is independently wealthy himself. They could be investing in a property in London. They are allowed to do that. They are non-working royals, so it doesn't go against any scruples or anything, or any political rules or anything like that. So I think it's more of an investment, because one of the really big benefits of Kensington Palace is the security, the seclusion that's on offer. And if they moved somewhere that's, I mean, to be honest, this place they were seen coming out of was only a stone's throw from Kensington Palace, I think, anyway. So they'd have to pay for their own security, all the associated costs with all that kind of thing. It just doesn't make sense. And Ivy Cottage is a really nice cottage. It's bigger than Nottingham Cottage, and it's more than suitable for Jack and Eugenie. It offers the protection, the seclusion, the status of living in a palace. I just don't think they would be moving unless they are literally just investing in something, which is what I think. So there's no truth in the rumours that they fell out with Harry and Meghan or any of that business either. Oh, Maya J's done some Googling. George V was the father of the first Duke of Kent, as the title was reintroduced in 1934. Alexandra's mother was Marina of Greece. I like that. I love that name. Maybe we'll see Marina as a name. I like that. Who was married to the Duke of Kent. Well, there you have it. And yes, Shireen Clark, it is amazing the controversy that people will make up. They will continue to live at Nottingham Cottage once the baby is born. Yes, of course, it was the Prime Minister of Canada. Did I say President? I meant Prime Minister because, of course, it's a Commonwealth country. But I can't remember the name of the president from 1995. President, Prime Minister. Why do I keep saying that? It's because I've got President Trump on the brain. Yes. Who was it in 1995? Arnold says, I hope Harry and Meghan don't do the baby parade like William and Catherine outside the hospital. I think they probably will. Jamie says, where did I find the video? It may have been from a monarch. First Mrs. R says, both Charles and Harry look a lot like Prince Philip when they sport beards. Yes, it certainly adds something, doesn't it? Dorothy says, did you see the commercial Harry made for AIDS? He looks so I did. Check that out for the full version on the official Royal Family channel. Let's have a look. And no, it wasn't Pierre Trudeau in 1995, I don't think. It was someone else, but I can't remember who. And yes, there is a more private exit at the hospital, at the Lindo wing. But I can't see why they wouldn't just come out the front. I think we will definitely see a baby parade. Robert Gray says, yes, I do remember the phone call from a French Canadian who was impersonating the Prime Minister, Jean Chrétien. So it is true. I'd never heard of it. I just wondered whether in the UK it had been kind of, not put out there as much. Maybe it was put on the down low. But if people actually remember it at the time, that's what I wanted. I wanted proper source information. Okay, let's have a look. And yes, the Californian fires are absolutely horrific. And do go and check out the Queen's message about that on my channel. Leslie says it was a true hoax, but had its roots in Quebec separatism of the time. And First Minister doesn't recall the fake call to the Queen. But I agree with you. Yes, maybe the news didn't make it to certain areas, countries. I don't know what. Leslie says, very like Australian hoaxes who got through to yes. That was another one of my thoughts, was that at the time when the Australian radio presenters got through to the Lindo wing to try and speak to Catherine, I thought maybe if this Queen phone call had happened, that would have been the perfect time to have brought it back up. But I didn't hear anything about it at the time. G. Mark says, I do vaguely recall the reporting of this prank at the time when Jean Chrétien, is that it? Chrétien, was our Prime Minister. Well, there you go. If people remember it at the time, then that kind of confirms it. But like I say, the voice did sound like the Queen's. Seaside Mom says it was Jean Chrétien. Chrétien. I'm sounding very French. In 1995, You Are Canadian. It was a morning radio show host that called and reached the Queen. How incredible! My goodness, what would you say if you managed to get through to the Queen? Is everyone else drinking tea? I'm still drinking water, but I will be back to my tea very soon. Sweet Serenity says, I wonder if any of the royals watch my channel. Wouldn't that be cool? It would indeed. It would be. Well, I would feel honoured that they watched my channel, and it would kind of be a little bit validating, because I would hope that the reason why they watch my channel is because I only report the facts and the truth. So if they did watch, I'm hoping that that would be the reason why. But yes, it would blow my mind. It would blow my socks off if I found out that a royal was watching, because I'm watching them with my goggles. No, I just like reporting. One of my favorite things about the channel is just letting everyone know the good work that goes on, because without people, saying what the good deeds are and what the charity work is, I just don't think that information gets out there enough. And if you want to know what so and so is wearing, what the designer is, what jewelry they're wearing, what shoes they're wearing, there's plenty of that out there, but there's not a lot of what they're actually doing, what work they're doing. And I hope that's one of the things that I really like bringing to people. Sam is drinking tea, and the same old Rubus tea. I don't think I've said that correctly. Arnold said he reported the YouTube channel The Tig. You think it's slimy. There you go. Sheila says, I saw a video of Prince Philip's father, and Prince William has a strong resemblance to him, and Harry is a dead ringer for Prince Philip as a very young child, and as a naval officer as well, with the beard. And yes, I agree, the Y chromosome is very strong. And yes, I was right. Charles was the first degree. Well done to Jamie for his work he's doing on the comments. Mrs. R says, Prince Charles was the first in the family to complete a degree. He has a BA in cultural anthropology. However, some others went but never finished. William definitely got one as well. Let's have a look. I'm skipping a few. And Jamie's doing a very good job on the comments. Let's have a look. Marcilia says, good night, just joined the chat. Glad you're much better and you are in fine form. Have you lost the tiaras? No, I'm just not wearing one today, but I will wear one when I do another pop-up chat, I promise. Okay, first Mrs. R is doing some digging, and she's dug that the Duke of Gloucester has a degree in architecture. It was what he planned to do before his brother died, and of course he ascended to the Duke. He inherited the dukedom, I should say. Mary says, weird question. Nothing can be too weird. You live in Shropshire. Is that the county, or is there a town of Shropshire in Shropshire? There is no town of Shropshire. Shropshire is the county, so it's the big area, and it's kind of near the Welsh border. So it borders Wales, and it's sort of in the middle of the country, if you're imagining. But I live in a town within Shropshire. Again, I've answered the maternity leave question. And thank you to H London, who says absolute best on YouTube. Thank you. Sheila says there is a video on the Queen Mother. If you view it, you might see the resemblance I'm speaking of. I will have to take a look. H London says, I agree with your thoughts about superimposing departed souls into photographs. Eerie. Yeah, that's what I think. Sorry. I know some people might like them, might bring them comfort. I get that. But personally, a little bit eerie. First Mizar says they didn't Photoshop her into a picture. In her birthday slideshow, there was a picture of she and Charles when the boys were babies, and people seem to split about whether it should have been there. Why not? I mean, like I said before, Diana is part of the dynasty, and I see no reason why she shouldn't have been included. Hello to Celeste from South Africa. And yes, I think the Queen's speech was wonderful. I will make a video about what that is. SC1964 says, Elliot, I find your comments on Diana so very true. With the addition of historical hindsight, we can all see things we wish were done differently. However much we try, we can't change them. I completely agree. And I've said ever since I've been doing these live chats, whenever people have tried to, pit the Diana camp against the Camilla camp, and I've always said, why can't you just like both? I like both. I was a huge fan of Diana. I'm a big fan of Camilla. Why have you got to choose? I mean, it's very, very different times. Things have moved on, and of course, the the fundamental thing I think about Charles and Diana was I think they were truly in love in the beginning, and I think they were drawn together. This is my kind of lecture. This is my set piece lecture on Charles and Diana. But yeah, I think they were attracted because in certain respects, they're very, very similar in the fact that they both have certain types of needs that have, caused, I think, a little bit by some kind of early trauma, some kind of early, maybe childhood trauma. I think with Diana, she said herself, she remembered her mother's footsteps crunching across the gravel, and therefore she had issues regarding rejection. And I think, with the Queen being monarch, she was absent a little bit with, some of the early tours that she did, those big, long 6-month tours. Of course, he had a great support in the Queen Mother, and that was born through all the way up to when he was having trouble at Gordonstone, which was the school that he really didn't want to be at. He found sanctuary in the Queen Mother at Birkhall, where he would go for the weekends from school, and she would kind of pep him up, and she would be his rock, and so that he could find the strength to carry on for the remaining week. And he did that pretty much every weekend all the way through school, and the Queen Mother got him through. She was his rock. And back to Charles and Diana, I think that when you fundamentally both got the same needs and you both can't fulfill that in each other, you've got a problem. And it's not anyone's fault. It wasn't Charles's fault. It wasn't Diana's fault. But it was doomed from the start because they couldn't fulfill that need in each other because they both had the same need. And it's not wrong. It's not wrong that they had that. But they both couldn't do it for each other. They both needed love and support that they couldn't give to each other because they both needed that same level of support. Fortunately for Charles, Camilla could provide that, and she always has. She's always been that rock. She's been a little bit like the Queen Mother. She's been his rock. She's been stoic. She's held him through. She's propped him up, and she has allowed him to be the man that he is today. That being his own man, and that's the tribute that the Queen spoke about in the 70th birthday speech. Now, the tragedy of the whole situation, of course, is that Charles was able to go on and find happiness, but Diana wasn't because her life was cut short. And I would love to be in a position today where I could say, yes, Diana is happy. She's, she may have gone on to have other children. She may have gone on to be remarried. She's happy. I would love to be able to say, we've got a happy Charles and we've got a happy Diana. But that situation didn't happen. It didn't go out like that. But fundamentally, I think it was right for Diana and Charles to separate because they both had the chance of being happy. Charles was able to go on and be happy. Diana wasn't because her life was cut short. We don't know if she would have gone on to have been happy. I hope, and I like to think that she would, but we don't. We can't say that. And I think there comes a certain point when a line has to be drawn and people have to move on, and Diana has to rest. She does have to rest. Doesn't mean she has to be forgotten. It doesn't mean that people can't still post about her. But the continual raking up of the past and the issues and, that turbulent time, it's got to stop. It really has. Let me know your thoughts and comments on that. I know I've kind of done a little mini lecture. H London, I've already spoken at length about Harry and Meghan moving out of the palace, so do go back and check. I won't carry on because I know I've been going on for a bit and I need to kind of catch up. Vinny Blair says Kensington Palace's Twitter has just over 700 1,000 when Meghan joined. Now they have 1.6. There is definitely a Meghan effect, I think. But like I say, I haven't checked about the hate on there. I do need to go and check. Marsilia says, SC 1964, I agree with you. Diana is gone and I pray that she's resting in peace. Life is not static and we must all move on. My sentiments exactly. Let's have a look. Oh, Arnold, we don't know that the dog is named Oz. In fact, I think they said it wasn't, but we don't know the real name. Keonti Kent says, William and Catherine attended the variety show last year and the comedian had a great deal of fun with William and Catherine. It was funny. It's always funny and it's always a really great show. I think Harry and Meghan will tremendously enjoy it. Pam G says Charles did a great job of continuing to raise his sons with sensitivity. He did. I think he supported Diana's parenting way, it seemed. And I think he did kind of carried on. Although he definitely added his own touch, like Harry and William recalled he took them litter picking on a holiday, which I thought was definitely a Charles touch. That was definitely Charles. But I loved it anyway. He definitely give them an environmental conscience. That's definitely Charles. Okay, Shirley Ann says, this is true and what is really normal. For one may not be normal for others. They should train them in the abomination of the Lord. Their mother did an awesome job at raising them. She did, and I think her contribution has been felt, like I say, through the generations, and now with her grandchildren. Okay, Michelle Obama's in the country to discuss her new book, says Leslie Lane Fenton. There we go. Hate London says, you are young. I'm not so young. I'm only, okay, I'm 35. I'm 5 years off 40. Sweet Serenity, just to add some balance, says, not everyone, including myself, will accept Camilla. Both her and Charles knew the day he married it was a lie. Well, going back to my earlier rant, I think we have to look at things in the context of both parties were attracted because they were similar, but then those similarities made it impossible. And I'm not going to carry on any more about that for that one. Let's have a look. RKD says, I love your channel. You do a real and down to earth. You're real, down to earth, and funny. Well, thank you. Do I think Meghan will reconcile with her dad in the future? Anything is possible. I hate to see animosity in families and family breakdowns. It's never nice to hear about, to watch, to observe. I like to think that there's a big chance that they will reconcile. But like I've said previously, it's an issue of trust. And the trust from one side was spectacularly broken. And it's going to take a lot of time for that trust to be rebuilt. And, you know, the person that needs to be doing the rebuilding of the trust needs to recognize that it's going to take a while. I agree, there are no insiders. It's just all made up nonsense. Vicky P says there are a lot of hate on Instagram. There is, and there is lots aimed at Meghan. Oh, Fitness says, I think this is a little life hack. If you go to the Internet Archive, Wayback Machine, and search for the TIG, you'll be able to see the Duchess's old website. Oh, I'll have to try that. Sweet Serenity says, Queen, if the people had not demanded a proper burial, revolt came very close had it not been to the Prime Minister. Shameful to remember. Are we talking about Diana's funeral? I think it was always going to be this kind of semi-state funeral. I'm going to skip a few questions, but yes, I agree. I think Elizabeth or Philip for first names of the Sussex baby. Jeff says, where did I buy the picture of the Queen? I didn't buy it. It was a gift. It was from the Amazon wish list. And if you go to Amazon and search photograph of the Queen or portrait of the Queen, framed portrait of the Queen, you'll see a whole load. And that was one of them. and it's really gorgeous. Jade Bell thinks they should name the baby Tanisha. I think the first name is definitely going to be a traditional name. That's my gut feeling. James Mid4 says, well said, I want the Queen not to overdo it and enjoy her twilight years. I think she deserves it. My goodness, she deserves a little bit of a rest. She needs to put her slippers on, and she needs to wander down to the stables in her Ugg boots. That's what she needs to do, and be very comfortable. Angela says, thank you for being upfront and honest about the royal family. I hope one day that you are hired to work for the royal family as their spokesperson and damage control against fake news. My goodness, I'd be on the telly all the time with the amount of fake news if I had that job. Can you imagine? I'd never be off. I'd need my own channel, my actual, my fake news channel, my fake news debunking channel. Arnold says, it has been almost 3 weeks now, so I guess what Meghan said about the university is true. No articles calling her a liar. Sure, the media looked it up by now. Probably. I see no reason why she would have lied so publicly. That doesn't make sense, does it? And more often than not, if things don't make sense, that kind of tells you something. Finny thinks the name will be Philippa Mary Doria. I like Marina, actually. Going back to the earlier comment, I like Marina. Can you imagine? Marina's lovely. I like it. It's got that right blend of kind of exoticness. I know that's not a word, but it is quite an exotic sounding name. And it's still quite quirky, but it's still within the royal family. So it would be Marina would be perfect. I love it. Maya J says, don't remember the Canadian thing. And you was old enough in 1995. Some people can remember it, so I think we're probably going to have to go with that's true. I need a drink. I'll read Sonia's comment in a moment, who says, I disagree. I don't think it would have been appropriate for Diana to have been in those photos, even if she was still here. They were divorced. It was Charles's photo, not Diana's. I also think the purpose of the photograph was about his dynasty. So I guess people have their own opinions on whether that would have been appropriate or not. But definitely Diana was part of that dynasty, shall we say. Christine wants Caroline for a girl. First Mrs. R says, Edward VIII pretty much killed any idea of abdication for a couple more generations. I would agree. It is, I think, still a dirty word. Cherry Blossom says, hello from beautiful St. Thomas. That's one of the reasons I look forward to talk of the Crown, because it's based on facts and nothing else. Indeed it is. And yes, Grace, I will keep drinking. Super Craig Jack says, would all the Commonwealth countries have to agree to a regency? I'm not sure whether they would have to also be consulted for the change in the Regency Act. I'm not sure if that's just a British thing. I know the Commonwealth countries had to agree to the succession law changes that meant that Charlotte, for example, wouldn't be superseded by Louis. But I'm not sure if that also counts with the Regency. That might just be a UK thing. But I am sure if it needs to go through the Commonwealth countries and nations as well, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't disagree to it. I think just like everyone else, they would be happy that the Queen has come to that conclusion herself. And I think they'll just wish her well, and say, enjoy your retirement, Your Majesty. Maybe someone can Google that, actually. Let's have a look. I'm missing a few comments, but Jamie says, I think Her Majesty would find it hard to contradict her own words made on her 21st birthday in 1947. Who says, and I love this quote, it's one of my favourites, my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be dedicated. I love that one. And I agree. Natalie Jean says, I love the name Caroline. It's very meaningful in American history. I like Marina now. Marina Elizabeth. Marina Elizabeth Caroline. I've done it. I've come up with the name. Meghan and Harry, if you're listening. Sam says she can still enjoy herself, delegate responsibilities to the younger ones, which is what she is doing currently at the moment. Marcilia says, I believe that Prince Charles would make a good king. He is not given the credit he deserves. It is unfortunate that he still is judged by the mess he made of his first marriage. Again, I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a mess. I'd just describe it as something that fundamentally was never going to work. And it did indeed unravel. But there was a bit of a spectacle to it as well. Kathy G says, was the media this hateful to the Duchess of Cambridge when she was pregnant? To be honest, I can't remember, because I don't remember looking at social media comments back then. But if you did look at Twitter and Instagram and those kind of things back then, let me know. But I can't remember anything. So I would tentatively say no. But then again, I didn't really look that hard at the messages back then. I wasn't doing this back then. Chelsea says, I don't see the Queen slowing down anytime soon. I would be surprised if she chose retirement. She seems a lot like her father. She does indeed. I mean, the Queen Mother still carried on doing engagements up until when she passed, but it was greatly reduced. I think she was she on something like 60 to 80 engagements a year, I think. So the Queen would definitely have to delegate down quite a lot to get down to the 60, 70, 80 engagements a year level. Vicky P says, will Catherine and Meghan do any engagements together? They may, as part of the Royal Foundation, of course, now known as the Fab Four. It was, of course, previously the Royal Trio, now the Fab Four. I think people like having a nickname for them. So yes, their paths may well cross with certain things to do with Heads Together, or any kind of mental health, or anything where the Royal Foundation charities cross over. We may definitely see some engagements, but nothing confirmed that we know of yet. But it's not impossible. Natheta says, I hope the family enjoy Meghan's American Thanksgiving dinner at Kensington Palace. Well, I mean, obviously, it's not been confirmed that she's throwing a Thanksgiving dinner, but I think it would be a very good guess that she would be. So yes, I'm sure anybody who has been lucky enough to be invited will thoroughly enjoy it, because her cooking is supposed to be very, very good. And we know that she proposed over a roast chicken. So, or rather, Harry proposed when they were cooking a roast chicken. Let's get it right. So yes, I'm sure it would be an amazing Thanksgiving dinner, and I, for one, would love to sample it. Sample those delights. Vinny says, what prince takes a woman from a 3-bedroom house to live in a 2-bedroom with a child and 2 dogs? Plus, when her mother visits, Meghan's clothes alone fits 1 bedroom. I wouldn't stand for it. Well, again, I keep coming back to the fact that Kensington Palace has a lot of extra benefits that are thrown in that you do not get if you have a private residence. The security, the seclusion, the comfort, it's all there at Kensington Palace. And, you know, it's also good having the offices and all of that really, really close. I don't see a better option for them. I just think it's a matter of waiting until the right apartment becomes available. Yahya the Great says, William and Harry shall reveal a statue for Diana, Princess of Wales, next January on the grounds of Kensington Palace. I've not heard a date. This has been rumbling on for a long time, since the 20th anniversary, and I haven't heard of when the unveiling is. We know it's been commissioned. We know the artist. We don't know what pose has been chosen, although personally I've always said I like the pose when she's dancing with John Travolta and she's doing that kind of arm thing, and she's kind of graceful and there's movement, and she loves dance. So that's my preferred pose, but I don't know if we're going to get that or not. But I haven't heard of a date. If a date has been released or mentioned, please let me know where so I can go and check it out. But I haven't heard of one. But let me know where. Okay, let's skip a few. Everywhere. Evelyn says, please get Trump off the brain immediately. Well, whether you like him or not. I was earlier talking about President Trump and the Queen sending a message to President Trump and, of course, the people of America. So that's why I had president in my head. I did have Trump on the brain, but I think it's gone now. Martha Parker says, I think Prince George looks so much like his late grandmother Diana before Spencer. He's a Spencer lookalike. Again, children kind of change. We'll have to wait until he's a lot older before we get a true representation. But I can definitely see the Spencer side. I would agree. I think the shape of the face. Yes, the fake caller did speak with a French accent. Annette says, no one deserves to have our president on the brain. Exercise it immediately. I love your chats too much to see your brain explode. I think it's gone now, don't worry. And yes, I agree, Lillian Rose, prayers for California. And I think the Queen's words can be echoed. Nafeta Pri says, I do think Meghan and Harry will move. They are living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom cottage. I think the Queen will give them something. I think they will definitely be gifted a country property at some point. We don't even know if something is being renovated currently and they're just buying time in the Cotswolds property, which could be true. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think something eventually will crop up within Kensington Palace, but it may be 3 or even 4 years away. I don't know how far they've got on with the basement extension. I know work is being carried out, but these things do take time. And you know what building works like, especially with listed buildings. So it could be 3, 4 years. And we don't know how long it would take also to renovate Diana's old apartments if they choose to take them. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think they're moving their base from Kensington Palace just yet. Patricia says, you're from Atlanta, Georgia, and you're here for Meghan because a royal watcher. You're a royal watcher for Meghan. I think Meghan has brought a lot of people to the royal family, definitely. Jamie says, still on water. Are you definitely pregnant? Oh, it's a sign. I'm still on water. I've given up my tea for water. Is it a sign? Sonia says, don't get me wrong. I won't. I totally adore Diana and spent many years with nothing but distaste for Camilla and Charles. However, after finding this channel, I viewed Charles with open eyes, not fake news. Exactly. I mean, that was one of the aims of the channel was just to show the royals doing what they do. And all I've done with Camilla, I haven't spun anything. I haven't done anything. I've just shown Charles and Camilla doing what they do. And exactly what I wanted to happen has happened. People have just used their own minds. They've looked objectively, and they've just made their own minds up. I mean, some people are never going to be swayed. Other people have just looked objectively and just gone with it. So I'm glad people have come to that conclusion. If you have. Sweet Serenity says, I hope the royals do watch you. I hope they do too. And my goodness, can you imagine if the Queen, because as you all know, I am going to pre-record a Christmas broadcast like I've done for the previous 2 years, and it will go live at 3:00 on Christmas Day. I would love it if when the Queen has finished watching her own speech, because of course she watches her speech, I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she watches her speech in a room separate to all the other royals. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe she doesn't enjoy watching herself do the speech in front of everyone else. Maybe that's a little bit weird for her. I don't know. But supposedly she watches the speech separately in a different room on Christmas Day at 3:00. The other royals watch it in a different room. I'm not quite sure which room, but a different room. And then they come back together. I would love it. It would totally blow my mind if they also watched my speech straight after. I like to think I do a good speech. So yes, Your Majesty, if you're watching, I will be releasing my Christmas speech at 3:00 too, and you can watch on repeat, on catch up, immediately after your own. Let's have a look. I'm going up. Coco, I love the name, says, love your work and thanks for calling out those channels that spread rumours such as the Tig. Your comment. G. Mark says, I love your purpose for your channel. It is so very true that people need to know more about the good done by the royal family. I would agree there. Pamela thinks Elizabeth Diana would be a lovely name. Again, that's another good one. Veronica says, aren't we looking dapper today? Thank you. I still need to open my mug. I'm skipping a few, sorry. Palmer Lee Stevens says, or Palmer, I think I'm dyslexic tonight, says, remember when a man broke into Buckingham Palace and came into contact with the Queen in her bedroom? It was at least 15 or more years ago. I think it was the late 80s. Was it the late 80s? And yes, a man did break in. He found the Queen's bedroom. He went into her bedroom and she very calmly spoke to him and she pressed her security button and she kept him talking. And then assistance was on its way, and of course everything turned out okay. But then security was upped at the palace, although there have been a few incidents since. Dee Dee says, I agree. I too want to know more about their work, not clothing. I knew Charles was a hard worker, but had no idea just how much. Good on him. He's grown on me over the past 5 years. Totally. And another so hardworking royal is Princess Anne. And I would love to see more of Princess Anne's work being reported because, of course, I can only report it if I know about it as well. And because I'm not at the actual events, I would love to see more on the official palace Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts. I would like to see more work that Princess Anne does publicized because then, of course, I can bring it to you in a neat package on YouTube. But certainly she does upwards of 300 engagements a year. And I'm pretty certain that not all of those engagements get put out officially. So I would love to see personally more of Princess Anne as well. D. Ray says, I did not realise how hard Charles works. I think he'll make a wonderful king. He will certainly be dedicated and very conscientious. Go-Getter says, I hope the royals are watching you. If so, they would inform you. Would they inform you that they are? Probably not. I don't think it would be the done thing to let anyone know that. I think they'd just watch from secret, maybe. I don't know. It would be nice to be reached out to, but I'm not holding out any hope. I can just live in hope. Arnold says, Charles won me back when he went to the airport to pick up Harry when they sent him home from Afghanistan. Well, it was a big moment. And who wouldn't? I think any father would. Elaine says, I like both, and I think you're referring to Diana and Camilla. Mrs. VSN says, I agree. I like both Diana and after seeing several documentaries, I like Camilla and understand how she fits with Prince Charles. She is most definitely his rock. Sheila says, I love how Prince Charles' ratings are up. He's a new man since Camilla and he were married. Mistakes happen. Again, it's life. Things happen in life. Goodbye to Joanne, who has to go. First Mrs. R says, I don't think that Charles ever disliked Diana. I think he loved her to begin with. And yeah, I don't think he ever disliked her. You think he was just confused about her reaction to his relationship with Camilla. He never got that she actually thought she was Cinderella. No, well, I think Camilla was probably quite happy to just be in the background. I don't think she actually wanted to ever displace Diana. I think she was very, very happy in her own mind to kind of share Charles. But of course, that arrangement is very old-fashioned. Diana was a very modern woman, and that was never going to fly with Diana. She was never going to willingly share her husband. She wanted her husband completely to herself, and that's understandable. Charles was never able to do that because, like I said, you know, they both had the same needs, couldn't fulfill each other's. But I think Yeah, I think Diana couldn't fly with the whole mistress thing. I think Camilla probably could have done. I think she would have been quite happy to have shared, let Diana have the limelight and become queen eventually. But that was never going to work with Diana. And again, that was another fundamental reason why the relationship was never going to work. Countess Bavaria says, I've always liked Prince Charles. Any man who admits to talking to plants is a sweetie in my book. You can get a good conversation out of a tomato, believe me. They don't answer back. Yvette says, Prince Charles is a nature man. Squirrels in the house, yikes. Liza says, have you seen the documentary, The Witnesses in the Tunnel, about the night dive? I think I did a long time ago. G. Mark says, I quite enjoyed your mini lecture and totally agree. Open my package. I will in a moment. Ava42 says, I absolutely agree. That is the time that everyone moves on. I would agree. Lillian Rose loves my lectures. A mini lecture. Mini speech. Candice Bavaria says, I haven't, but I had a terrible nightmare the night she died. I had one when Jimi Hendrix died too, and I truly dislike that sort of thing. It was definitely terrible waking up to the news. Yvette says, I agree about Prince Charles, lovely family. He deserves happiness. I think he does. D-Ray says, I agree with you about Diana and Charles. No one really knows what happens in a marriage except the couple. I think there was, I think it was bad for both of them. I think they both wanted it to work, but it couldn't. Mary says, how about this for fake news? Shall I get ready? I saw a YouTube channel that claimed that Harry will bring about the Third World. What? The Third World War? And the rules are oh, I know the one you mean. Mention reptilians. This wouldn't be a certain Miss. Welcome to the danger zone. Would it? Would it be her? Would it be her videos? Yes, total fake tut. Sweet Serenity says, meant questions remain quietly swept away and very conveniently. Possibly, it can happen. First Mrs. R says, I agree with you. I don't know if she ever would have been truly happy for a couple of reasons, but I think it's time to accept Charles's life the way it is today. Yeah, there's no reason why, just because he's living, that he should be unhappy. That's not going to achieve anything. Pamela G says, I totally agree with your views about Charles and Diana and Camilla. It was a very complex relationship. And like I said, Diana was never going to fly with it. She was always very much, there's 3 people in this marriage and it's very crowded. And to her, that was true. And she was never going to fly with that. So it was never going to work out. Marcelia says, I love Me the Fab Four. Are they really splitting up? No. Want to see the dresses from the birthday bash. I do too. I want to see them in their entirety. I want to see proper photographs that have been released officially. If we get them, I don't think we will, but if we do, I will bring them to you. I didn't really want to bring you little headshots and tops of dresses. It's I want to see the whole thing too. Cheryl says, I thought you were around 25 years. Wow. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Look, you made me smile. Yaya says, hey, Elliot, William and Harry shall reveal a statue for Diana. Okay. Maybe if you're saying it as well, maybe it's been announced and maybe I've missed it. Let me know where. Where have they released it? I haven't heard it yet. Sweet Serenity says, many people never accept the union. Wish individuals would stop trying to push Charles and Camilla on us. Can't wait for King William. Well, there is most definitely an order. There is a line of succession and it must be followed. And it will be followed. Mrs. VSN says, oh my God, they have been quiet. Please don't make a family come out of hiding. Nafeta Pre says, if you pull up the variety show for 2017, it was Harry, not William and Kate at the variety. Yes, as I said, he has attended previously, but of course it will be Meghan's first time and it will be Harry and Meghan's first time together. Sheila says someone is using Tig now for royal news. Yes, they've just stolen the name from Meghan's old blog. In fact, they rebranded the channel because it was called something else before they changed it to the Tig. I remember. So I'm just saying, beware. My Day says Elliot is 35, not 55. Oh my goodness, I'm definitely not 55. Cheryl says Meghan's nephew is on a reality show, and he said if they were invited to the wedding, things would not be like this. I think if you've not been invited to a wedding, there is probably reasons why. How can you get the documentary Prince, Son and Heir, Charles at 70? I don't know if it's still pirated on YouTube, so do a little search. It may be there if you're lucky, but for how long, I don't know. But if you have access to the BBC online player, I don't know if you can access it from other countries. You might be able to get it from there. Or I would imagine if you wait long enough, it will probably be released on DVD, as a lot of these documentaries are eventually. Candice Bavaria says, reptiles are not humans. What godforsaken foolishness. Indeed, but there are these ongoing rumours that the royal family are reptiles. My goodness. Can you imagine? It's total nonsense, of course. Pamela Stevens says, right, Arnold, about the tarot channels and the astrology channels that read the royal. I've seen some of those, and they do try. But that is its own kind of niche in itself. So I will let that be. People that wish to believe in tarot and prophecies and star signs, if that is your beliefs, fine, you go with it. But it doesn't necessarily make it true. That's all I'm saying. So just beware. If you want to watch those kind of videos, just keep an open mind and maybe just use it for entertainment purposes only. But certainly there are a lot of really fake stuff out there, which I would warn you against. So let's have a look. I'm just going up a little bit. Lydia says maybe the Queen should have been as sad about Princess Diana's death as she was about losing her yacht. I think she was terribly upset, actually. We did see a tear at the yacht, but of course, a lot of grief will have been done behind closed doors where the cameras are not. Let's not forget she spent the best part of the week up at Balmoral with the kids, and she had to be a rock. She had to be a rock for her grandchildren, William and Harry, of course, much younger then. And we don't know how many tears were shed behind closed doors, so we can't say that she didn't. Let's just have a little look up. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, Charlotte says, Marina, no, not that name. Reminds me of Last of the Summer Wine. Last of the Summer Wine is a UK TV programme. Well, it was. And it was very funny. And there was a character called Marina who used to ride a bike. Mary says, there is still a story about Meghan and the Queen. Oh, dare I read on? There is still a story about Meghan and the Queen having a row about the tiara floating around. That was so not true. The Queen had a lovely selection of tiaras which were chosen to match the style of the dress. Harry, Meghan, and the Queen were all in attendance to choose the tiara, and they all were very happy to have chosen Queen Mary's diamond bandeau because it was simple and elegant and it reflected the style of the dress. There was no call for an emerald tiara. That was just complete nonsense. They should name the baby Zara. Already in use. I think they may want to go for something that's not necessarily in use. Vinny Blair says, okay then, Marina Philippa Doria. I definitely like Marina. I think it's got that right amount of exotic in it. Yes, my parents are home from the Caribbean. They came home yesterday and they thoroughly enjoyed it. Mary M says, every time I see Charles and Camilla, I think of Diana. I will always. I wonder what she would be like today. Just think of all she's missing, marriages and grandchildren. It is very sad to think of that. I try not to. But yes, but we can't change it. Lachlan says Lachlan rather, the Queen deserves to put her feet up. I think so too. D. Ray says Charles and Diana shared life. They had 2 children. I think ignoring Diana's place in Charles's life is wrong. I would agree on a personal level with that. Okay, I'm skipping slightly. Sorry if I've missed some of your comments. Jamie thinks Caroline is too common for a name. Okay, I'm still skipping slightly. I'm trying to skip repeated questions, so sorry if I'm taking a little bit of time. Sanju says, are you fine? I am today, thank you so much. Today you watched a fake news story. Okay, dare I read on again? That Prince Harry and Meghan are going to leave Kensington Palace. It's not true. I've already spoken about this. But yes, it is fake news. I spoke at length about it earlier in this video, so do go back after and check. But yes, it is total fake news and doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay. Ooh, Brenda thinks Francis Victoria, and for a boy, Philip. I do like Philip, actually, for a boy's name. Marcelia said the Duke and Duchess chose Ava Maria as one of the songs at their wedding. So maybe if it's a firstborn girl, Maria Elizabeth Chantal. Chantal, really? I'm not sure about the Chantal. Oh, Jamie says open the cup. Lots of people say open the cup, open the cup. Sanju says fake news channel name is Meghan Markle. Oh, yes, I'm aware of that one. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry channel. And again, it's one of those channels that only put videos out if they're 10 minutes long so they can put in loads of adverts. That's what they do. They do whatever the title is, they do that for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then they put loads of recycled videos that aren't even connected to the topic of the video just to make it up to 10 minutes so they can put extra adverts in to make extra money. Funny that, isn't it? By the way, my videos are as long as whatever they are. If they're 1 minute long, they're 1 minute long. If they're 8 minutes long, they're 8 minutes long. If they are over 10 minutes long, then lucky me. But I don't purposely make them. If they are 10 minutes long, they are 10 minutes long. Or if they're over 10 minutes, they're over 10 minutes. I don't try and do that trick of making them that so that you can just put in extra adverts. That's not what this is about. But yes, I will most definitely open the cup very soon. I just want to make sure I'm down far enough. Let's see. I am skipping quite a few, so sorry if I have. Shall we do the cup? Oh, Shirley says, do I think Eugenie's wedding was dampened by the announcing of the baby Sussex? No, I don't. Was there a more appropriate or inappropriate time? There was only one time because it was just before the start of the tour. They didn't want to do it pre-wedding. So they did it just as they arrived in Australia, which I think was the perfect moment because they had a very narrow window. Betsy says, any truth to the rumor you won a trip to Disney World? No, but I did enjoy a live video of the Disney parade and the fireworks. It was very good. I felt like a little kid again. Vicky P says, whatever love means. Thank you, Rodney, for the congratulations. Jamie says, Betsy, that's one way to make an entrance. Okay, I am going to open the cup now and explain what it is. I will definitely. Hang on. Jamie says, I have to leave early. Have a voluptuous week. Goodbye to Jamie. Oh, sorry, I am literally skipping loads and loads of questions. Sanju says, what about Walrus Rider's channel? I haven't watched many of those videos in their entirety, so I can't entirely comment. Okay. Seeing as lots of people are kind of leaving, I need to open this cup. Okay, I've got down to the bottom. Billy Blair says, you're heading for 2 hours, your longest video ever. It's because it's been lots to talk about. I said it was a voluptuous royal week. So I am going to talk about the cup now. So I'm wearing a badge, which is the Duke of York's idea badge, and it's from the launch of the Silver Award. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about what it is. So, I've written down what IDEA stands for, because I always try and remember what it stands for, and I always tend to forget. So, IDEA stands for Inspiring Digital Enterprise Awards, and the Duke of York launched these awards last year, and basically it's an online training resource where I think it's only available to people in the UK, but you can try anyway. Anyway, you register if you're in the UK, you can try if you're overseas, see if it works, and it's basically a whole training course, and you can work your way through on the computer. It's like studying, and you work your way through different badges and you collect things, and it's basically to get the UK up to the digital age and make sure that people know all about digital. It includes like how to make videos, cyber this, cyber that. There is so many different badges to collect. It takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to work your way up. But you start with the bronze, and once you've won the bronze award, you go on to the silver, and they've just launched the silver campaign, and then there will be a gold one. So it's a bit like the Duke of York, no, not the Duke of York, the Duke of Edinburgh Award, but for digital, if that makes sense. So the Duke of York launched the Silver Award at St. James's Palace this week. Now, my good friend Sean, was lucky enough to go to the launch because she has launched this award to a group of people. I'm not going to say who, because it's personal, but to a group of people in my local area. So she was invited to the launch of the Silver Award, and she got to meet him. Oh my goodness! And she was actually asked to advise. Again, I won't say why, but she was asked to be an advisor. Anyway, she was able to get me this badge, which was good, and they were all presented with a goodie mug. And this is the goodie mug, and all I've done is peep through the cellophane. So I'm going to open it now and show you. So let's have a look. It says idea.org.uk. That is the website. And it says that on the ribbon, which is lovely. So we have a really nice ribbon with idea. In fact, actually, if I show you, you might be able to see the actual website. Let's have a look. So there we go. So let's see what's in the mug. Okay, wow. A pen. Who doesn't need a pen? And it says idea.org. Whoops, I don't think it's focusing, but it does say idea.org on the pen, which is lovely. What are these? Okay. Oh, there's a badge. This is like one of the badges that you collect, but you collect it obviously online. And it says worker. So it's the worker badge. So I've got one of those. We have IDEA, the Duke of York Inspiring Digital Enterprise Award. What are these? I think they're playing cards. They must be playing cards. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Hang on. What are these? Oh. They're like different cards about the different points and things that you can collect. So like, for example, this card, I can't see what it says, but it's got lots of information about the different badges, I do believe, like Citizen Foundation, all kinds of points and things. And it does say on the back, IDEA is completely free. The program helps people enhance their chances in the job market and in life with digital, enterprise, and employability skills. So I will be looking at these cards in a lot more detail at leisure, but there's certainly a lot there. So let's seal those up. We have just another little, I suppose you could use it a bit like a bookmark. Oh, look, a corgi sticker. Wow, I love that one. I will stick. I know where I'm going to put that one. Okay, that's it. That's all that's in the mug. Just a bit of paper, bit of stuffing paper. But that. Oh, and the mug itself, which has obviously some different badges. So that's really, really good. I like that, and I like the corgi sticker. I think that's my favourite. I am living for the corgi sticker. So I will see what you will think about this in a moment. Let's put the mug down. Okay, let's see what you're all thinking about it. Go up, go up, go up. Okay, people saying yes, please open the cup. Let's have a look. Lots of people giving thumbs ups. Hello to Ingrid. Oh, Sanju says you should customize the channel, get the new video camera and high quality camera lens, make a daily vlog and weekly live chats better. It would, but I'm a bit of a, maybe I should do this idea thing, because even though I use technology to make the videos and things, I don't know a lot about what's the best for the quality. And there's so much out there. I get a little bit swamped with what is the best camera, what is the best this, what is the best that. Maybe if someone could leave me some recommendations for a good vlogging camera, for example, or a good, what is the best webcam these days? Vinny Blair says it's a record for Talk of the Crown chat, over 2 hours. It is 2 hours, wow. Yes. How long? Yes, just over 2 hours. Ingrid's craving fish and chips. I had some today. Well, a little bit of some anyway. Yes, the reason why I hadn't done any weekly vlogs is because I've previously been sick. I have filmed a little bit of footage this week for a weekly vlog, but it won't be a terribly long one. Lillian Rose says that's a great initiative of the Duke of York's. Let's have a look. I'm just going through. Sheila says thank you so much. And in fact, I'm going to leave it on that note. So thank you to everybody who has joined the live chat this week. It has been over 2 hours, so I'm going to give you all a big yellow fan flap if you've stuck through and made it. I've had fun, and I hope you've had fun too. I will be back next week live at 10 o'clock GMT, which is British time. So until then, have a voluptuous royal week and beware of the fake news channels. So goodbye from